starts now.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Laurel Porter. And we begin with a series of crashes across Southwest Washington that included that close call for teenagers, as well as a dozen drivers on I-5 faced with wild and likely terrifying weather.
And when it was all over, there were traffic snarls, multiple pileups, and tragically, at least one person who lost their life. Alma McCarty has our top story.
Video sent to KGW shows the mess on I-5 north of Kelso that troopers say caused several different crashes Thursday afternoon. Hail covering the interstate, traffic at a screeching halt, and cars still smoking after the impact. Following that sudden hailstorm, Washington State Patrol reported lanes blocked for hours due to 3 or 4 separate wrecks involving 3 to 5 vehicles each. Troopers say one person, a 75-year-old woman on a motorcycle, was killed, and another man was taken to the hospital. Farther south, in Salmon Creek,
the car was driving at a high rate of speed and it was driving erratically.
Clark County firefighters were some of the first on scene after a small SUV with 9 teens packed inside lost control, drove off Northeast 117th Street, down an embankment, and into the creek.
When I walked up and saw the car for the first time, my thought was immediately that this has got to be at least a fatality. And when I found out how many people were in the car and that there were no fatalities, I was shocked, pleasantly shocked.
All of the teens, students at Prairie High School, were able to crawl out of the car. 6 were taken to the hospital. Officials said their injuries didn't appear to be life-threatening. Dave Schmidtke with the fire district said the outcome of this crash could have easily been different.
A lot of times in these accidents, it's, near the end of the school year, you want to celebrate, I get it, but this just happens surprisingly frequently. But the fact that we have 9 young people who lived through it, it is quite a blessing.
As for the deadly I-5 crash, troopers have not released the identity of the victim, only that she's from Nevada. They say she was thrown from her motorcycle and was wearing a helmet at the time of the crash. The interstate was completely reopened by 7 tonight. Laurel?
Thank you, Alma. And a lot of areas saw the sudden hail today that contributed to that crash. Let's go to Chief Meteorologist Matt Zafino for the latest.
And Matt, I guess some lightning in some spots as well, right?
Yeah, we certainly had that going on too. Let's start you with the hail right now, and you can see this is from southwest Portland. Out around Beaverton, Dean Coco getting this picture of the hail coming down and covering the ground there. Got a great picture also of this cloud, this mammatus cloud out near Gresham. This taken by Stephen Castellano. You can see the kind of the bulbous nature of this cloud. That's what a mammatus is, and it usually happens after you get a very strong thunderstorm, a mature thunderstorm. You see this kind of cloud formation on the underside too. Now, you mentioned the lightning. We've got pictures for you of that tree that was destroyed, absolutely just destroyed and obliterated when lightning struck it. This is down by Canby. Folks called 911 to make sure nobody got hurt. And the good news is nobody did get hurt except for that big fir tree that got just decimated by that lightning strike there. This is why we always tell people not to stand under a tree during a lightning storm. First of all, this can happen. Second of all, even if the tree doesn't get destroyed, the actual electrical charge from the lightning can travel through the tree down the roots. And if you're standing on the roots, you can get electrocuted that way too. So yeah, a rough go. Now the good news is when we look at Doppler radar, things are beginning to dry out. We've only got a few showers left in the Cascades. Those will be ending tonight. And a nice dry spell on the way. Be dry all weekend in Portland. Parts of Oregon, we'll talk about showers and thunderstorms, but we'll also talk about our dry streaks, the longest we've had in quite some time, coming our way.
Something to look forward to. Thank you, Matt. Now to the ballot counting delay in Clackamas County. A state representative from the county is now calling for a legislative inquiry. Janelle Bynum says the county clerk has failed to adapt and accept enough help to fix the crisis. This comes after hundreds of county employees have been reassigned to help elections workers sort through the ballots by hand. The ballots had blurry barcodes, which keep them from being read by machines. The staff now checking the ballots have to first verify voters' information against the voter registration database. Then people of opposite parties need to be paired up. For added security, cameras have also been placed inside the room where ballots are being counted, along with a view from the outside so the community can watch the process. A spokesperson says it is a tedious process, and there are only about 80 people who can do the work at one time.
It's not as simple as names on a spreadsheet. It's a process that takes a bit of time, and so we're still filling the schedule. We understand the frustration. We understand people want results and they want things done right.
There is no timeline for when this whole thing will be wrapped up, but we can tell you by law, all of them have to be processed and this election certified no later than June 13th.
All right, let's get a quick check on the ballot count in Multnomah County. There you go. Officials say about 25,000 ballots remain today, but said more could still come in because this is the first election where mailed-in ballots postmarked on Election Day can be received for up to a week after the election. So far, voter turnout in the county sits at about 36%. And a quick look at the Portland City Council seat that is still up in the air. Joanne Hardesty well ahead, so it's going to come down to a runoff in November between her and either Renee Gonzalez or Vadim Mazersky. Still quite close for the number 2 spot here as the counting continues. All right, to the race for governor, where candidates are getting some major endorsements following the primary. So today, Democratic nominee Tina Kotek toured a new treatment and recovery center in Southeast Portland, and by her side, New York Times columnist Nicholas Kristof. So you know what's coming here. The former candidate who did not meet Oregon's residency requirement is now endorsing Kotek. And the treatment center ties directly into the change she is vowing to accomplish if elected.
It's unacceptable that anyone's living on the street. That's not how we want our state to be. And it's going to take a variety of solutions. But I have a plan that says on the first 10 minutes of my administration, we know what we're going to do.
Kotek, who lives in North Portland, says she believes Kristof's endorsement will help her win come November, especially when it comes to securing support in rural communities.
Also today, Betsy Johnson picked up 2 high-profile endorsements. Former Democratic Governor Ted Kulongoski and former Republican U.S. Senator Gordon Smith are backing Johnson this November. Johnson, a longtime member of the Oregon State Senate as a Democrat, is not affiliated with any political party in her run for governor.
But we're putting our partisanship aside in the interest of our state. Just means the world to me. And that's the whole thesis of our campaign. We are trying to bring Oregonians together.
Johnson says she would manage partisanship if elected governor by describing the governor's role as one of a convener with an open mind looking for consensus.
And third on the ballot come November, Republican Christine Dreisig. She held a news conference today where she was asked if she is worried about Johnson taking endorsements or funding away from the right. Here's her response.
I'm confident that Oregonians will recognize this opportunity to lead our state in a new direction, and that now that we are out of the primary and we have a nominee, and I'm standing here before you today accepting that nomination, that I will be competitive in this race financially.
And it could be the most expensive in history, right? Dreisig was one of 19 candidates in the Republican primary. Analysts say far more moderate than many of her challengers. Look at it there. She captured the nomination with about 23% of the vote. For all things election related, you can get the latest anytime on KGW.com. That includes results, updated numbers, and political analysis. Well, now to a KGW original that you do not want to miss. It is a documentary called One Day, and it's available right now. Our crew spent 24 hours capturing the street-level response to Portland's homeless crisis. Those trying to get by, those suffering, and those reaching out. Kyle Eboshi has a preview.
We wanted to help people understand how this crisis unfolds day in and day out. So we went inside shelters, tents, RVs, a fire station, a hospital emergency room. For me, the most impactful stories came from the people we met, like a woman sleeping in a shelter with her dog. Here's a portion of the documentary.
Good morning, everybody. It's 5:50. I got breakfast sandwiches, hot coffee, got some decaf.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. I've been in this shelter from the beginning when it first opened. I'm 60 years old. I'm the oldest one in here. This shelter actually is, you don't understand, this shelter is a royal palace for me. Even though we're sleeping in a mat, I call this a twin bed. Not a mat, but a twin bed. Okay, let's go. This is our everyday routine, every day. This is what we do. By 6 o'clock, I have to be out of here because my schedule is at 7 o'clock. Let's go. I have to hurry up and go to work. Let's go, B. In Pearl District, there's a lot of empty apartments. It's just too expensive for other people to afford it. I work for Rite Aid and I'm a floor supervisor. That is a regular 9-to-5 job. I don't look like I'm homeless, but I am.
It just so happened that President Biden visited Portland the day we were shooting this documentary. That created a powerful moment in the documentary as well. We hope to check it out.
You know, after watching, I can tell you the feeling I was left with was ultimately exactly that. Hope. Now you can watch One Day responding to Portland's homeless crisis in its entirety right now on KGW.com.